We appear to have Mike. Are we YouTubing? Yes, we are YouTubing. We shall now press the musics. And we shall begin the drivings. Alright. Ooh. Yep. Hang on. The go-karting. I'd like to go do some more of this. Oops, I'm in the wrong screen. Alright, now I should have steering. Yeah, I think Nick and I are going to go do the TKC race at Englishtown. Coming up sort of in the, I think it's around August 12th or something like that, so I got to sign us up. And I think that'll be my last race with Nick before he heads off to college. I think after that, TKC's final race is at GoPro, or Trackhouse as they're calling it now, and I'm not sure exactly when, but it's concurrent, sorry, apparently it's concurrent with some other race that Alex is going to be doing, and I suppose, you know, the various other folks from up here that are going to be going down there to go do that fun race. That actually sounds like, I think that's genius on their part. So I think Alex and a bunch of the guys and girls rented a house. So they're going to have a good old time. I enjoy racing a lot with Alex. Alex is the race director of the Touring Car Championship, and he's also a friend. And Alex, I originally met him and Matteo, who's the other director of that series. We did rental leagues a lot at NJMP, and we had a little community of karters over there. And one thing led to another, and Alex was kind of like, you know what, I'm going to start my own goddamn race series because everything around here kind of sucks. So he did. Amazingly enough. And successfully, might I add. It's a fabulous series. It's a lot of fun. Matteo puts a lot of energy into it as well. So anyone who's looking for a fun traveling rental race series, look no further than TKC, at least if you're up in the Northeast. And if you happen to be a GoPro rental racing local, if they have such a thing down there. I mean, I've been down there to rental race, but I don't know if they have a league. But in any case, if you like rental racing and you're from GoPro and you want to race against the Northeast rental racers, check out Touring Car Championship's website, and their finals for their series is going to be at the Year Track, I think in October. So and you can sign up and run for whatever song and dances this race costs. The TKC races are usually a little bit more expensive than, let's say, New Jersey NJMP's club races. The reason being is TKC has to rent the track in some way, shape, or form. Right, so if that means the track has to get paid, and then TKC has to get paid. So that makes it a little bit more expensive. So you go into that knowing that. So I think I spent $150 last weekend to do the United Karting race. But for me, $150 is well worth it because I like the competition, I like the people, I think they do a good job, and so forth and so on. But Sunday night when I do United Karting's own race, it's $75, roughly half. For what amounts to the same thing, but it's I'm supporting a friend, B, that's not the point. United Karting's League is United Karting's League, and that's where they race every time. However, Touring Car Championship goes to like 10, 15 different places, including trackhouse. So it is not the same. Things are going to get a lot more interesting if Alex and Matteo are ever able to do what they set out to do originally, which is to have their own fleet of karts, not necessarily their own facility. I think they envision, something like Chris McCoy's operation of endurance karting, where they have this big fleet of karts and they go do the same thing that they're doing now, but instead of being reliant on the facilities equipment, which actually kills their ability to make any real money here, right? Because again, they have to pay the facility and then they have to pay themselves. So here, this will, I think, in the long run, work out much, much, much better for them. However, if it happens, if they can make it happen, the problem is fleets are expensive. But there are used fleets that come on the market on a regular basis, and a lot of the kart manufacturers sell used fleets, and I'm sure those guys have some friends in the industry by now that are other, that maybe have the fleet of karts that they're retiring and want to help these young guys out. Who knows? But if that's the case, that would be fucking awesome if that ever happens. So that's my hope. From a racer standpoint, what that means is I trust that Matteo and Alex would, basically their competitive advantage in that case is going to be, hey, we have our own fleets, and we are, a racing series, and we are going to provide as close parity as we possibly can. I would imagine that they would then take care of that fleet, and since it's not a rental fleet at that point, it's not getting just absolutely hammered either. So hopefully this happens and we have even better racing. As it stands right now, in pretty much any rental race I've ever been in, it's mostly about kart draw, and then secondly about driving. So if you take a relatively homogeneous group of drivers, skill-wise, you're going to see different people winning on different days just because of somebody gets the better card or somebody gets the worse card. But, over your typical population of karters, you've got people that are really good, you've got some people that are brand new, you've got some people that are in between. The disparity of karts gets less problematic, because let's say you're a good driver in a really shitty kart. Well, you're going to be driving more towards the front than anyone else, right? Because you're skilled, but you don't have the pace. So you're going to have some interesting driving of sorts, where you try your best to make do with what you got, which is not great. I mean, it happens. What they try to accomplish is you just get different karts each heat, so you've got a 50-50 chance each time or whatever it is that you're either going to get a fast car or something. Come think of it, only raced electric once. There's, I forget what it's called, something in, I forget the name of the track, but there's a company that has 2 indoor electric racing kart operations, one in Pennsylvania and one in New Jersey. And I'm on the same Discord as a guy who used to be their race director. Anyway, they do a really good job of putting on a race program. They have like these weekly races, and they also do endurance races. And I was invited, because I went lapping there once, and I guess once your lap time is posted at a certain level, you kind of get included in the mass mailing of the, hey, we're inviting the fast people to come join our race series, which is nice, and lets you know about their race series. So I think it's good marketing. That being said, so I did go do one of their races with my son, which was a lot of fun. It was a 1 hour indoor endurance rental race. What was really interesting about it is these tracks are tiny. I mean, it's like a 17-second lap or something like that, if I recall correctly. So you're just getting the shit kicked out of you in a sense, because those short laps are pretty vigorous, and do that for an hour, it's pretty rough. So you need to be in good kart shape for this. It was fun. The only problem is it wasn't really good racing, because there is no actual place you can kind of pass. So it kind of works off of this weird flagging system, where if you get blue flagged going past the start finish, in turn 1 you can sort of at that point see the corner really easy. But it's not really a very easy to pass place. So from a racing perspective, I don't think it's great, but it's definitely a cool, they have a good race program. It just felt kind of a little bit more time trial-y, but it's still fun as hell, totally well worth doing. I need to go chase our boy, otherwise I will be far too mellow. Or slow. It's nothing like a little bit of competition to focus one's in general. Racing the Ghost is harder to land a good lap because there's the anxiety of the normal anxiety you get, when you're in a race situation and you're comparing yourself, whether it's consciously or not, to this other kart that you're on track with. And you're obviously consciously comparing yourself, right? Because you're trying to pass them. But anyway. So in terms of time trial terms for me, the downside of that versus mode like this is that I have a tendency to reach for it. Like if I'm in the middle of a turn, I'll try to grab track, and which means that I'll rush the throttle or something. So you have to learn how to not do that. Yeah, so that's the one downside about this. But the upside is that I think it's a lot more interesting to have the ghost to race against than do the lap solo. But sometimes it's fun. Good one. Not that good, but 9.044, but it had some. If you do not go-kart, you should probably go out and do so. If you can. Fun isn't the right word, it's a sport. I mean, it's definitely fun. It's also an addiction. Motorsport, I think, is an illness. I wish my wife's health was better and I could somehow get her involved in all this, but her back doesn't. She's not interested in that. do hope that they do someday get back to developing this game. Kind of bummed. I think they actually had the LO206 and a couple of new tracks and stuff ready to drop, and then all hell broke loose with motorsports games. Oh yeah, and then Amazon decided to exit a certain business, which is pretty much critical to anybody who does online video games of any sort, apparently. Leaving a huge gap in the market and a possible technical problem that was insurmountable, but apparently they were able to find another provider and I guess a fix. Probably not long term, but good enough. I think all of these companies that were affected by this Amazon outage were changed. Tires seem to just come in exactly right now. So let's take a look at the temperature. 10.7, 11.1 on the left, and they're still green. So the pressure feels good. There's a certain quality to the grip that seems to happen as you're going through the tire range. It seems like there's a couple spots on that sort of heat cycling where the tire seems to do better. So as you go up, the pressure is intense. It's subtle, but there's definitely a moment where the tire feels more capable. On the first lap, when the tire is cold, definitely has cold behavior, but nowhere near like as much cold behavior as you experience, in cold slicks in real life. It just behaves different. I wouldn't call it like what you would expect out of cold tires. Ha! You are. With those tires and have some fun with that corner. Just the second little small stack of them. That one right there. If you just get rid of that one tire, interesting things could happen. I guess that's the point. Oh, that's right. Amazing, the slightest inefficiency or lateness in throttle, and you're just totally fucked. there's nothing you can do. Line, and that line is an S that winds its way kind of through the middle of that, and you don't want to go wide of it, because if you do, your exit gets fucked up. I could actually, you know what I should do if you're delaying the turn-in? Just be like more organically round. Like here, you know, like if you delay turn-in really late, right? You're gonna, that's obviously not a good example, but every once in a while you'll see I accidentally kind of run that high line that you see in oval. I guess normally you'd see people running up against the bumper in oval. Sometimes this actually happens to me accidentally here, and it's a lot of fun. And it's actually reasonably quick, but it's not quick enough, unfortunately, because you've lengthened everything. The key is to shorten everything, while at the same time not introducing too big a pause. So that's the challenge, right? If I take those curbs, by definition I have to spend some time off throttle, because there's nothing wheels like less than making purchase on those weird curved surfaces. And well, it's not that they don't like doing it, it's they're happy to do it, but the result of that is energy going in strange directions, right? Like the cart, if it's a drivetrain wheel, like my rear wheels, if I've got power down going over like a bump like this, right, it's going to change things. It's going to change trajectories, and sometimes it can even whip you around. So, in short, what you're trying to do is either be like neutral on throttle, or, you know, maybe in some cases you're even kind of like just fully off. And you're just kind of doing this floaty, like, with the throttle at the same time as your cart is doing this going. See? You know, and then like, anyway. But there's like a natural line that kind of happens, and it's, if you delay turn-in, like here as well, you can sort of see how the rubber kind of wants you to do that sort of thing. See, I've been having some turns where that seems to yield dividends. The challenge, though, right, is if you want to do a late apex like that to get that line that sort of is a more around the outside line that's a little bit easier to accelerate all the way through without having to worry about the various camber changes. The problem is then, okay, so how am I then going to cut the nose off of the track? It's definitely doable, but I haven't figured it out yet. I mean, it's not like I'm going to figure anything out, actually. I'm just going to do shit and see what sticks. Big pause. I'm not really competitive on speed here. It's 0.029, which is not bad, but it's not. Like I said, the only acceptable S3 time is unfortunately 8.9 something. Or better. And as a you know, in S2 it needs to be a 5.15 or better. And S1, well, that kind of needs to be a low 0.9. It would be nice if it could be a 0.8, but I don't think you can do 0.8 S1 and get a truly fast S2. That's a 9.03 and it's just not enough. So that'll get you into the, whatever, top 10. It won't work for the top 3. And it's frustrating to get the faster one. I need a vibing cat in the corner for this music. Aha! That's exactly where you needed to go. It simply took you from one end of the stack and moved to the front. It's like a bomb ladder, but with driving cones. track this guy down for a second. Let me see what that was. No, that's not what I was hoping for. What is this guy called? Know Me Like That. Alright, we're going to try All Track by Mr. Joan Meadows. I think that's... I don't remember reading this. Anyway. I think that's what it said, John or John. Sorry, my glasses. I could have been a little bit more subtle there. But subtlety is not what I'm shooting for. Just having fun. Oh, did not. I could feel the rear end just not quite by 8.993. That could have been so fast. Oh god, if I had just not accelerated quite so hard, quite so quick. And I do it again, see? Every time. Zing. It's one of those beat it out of yourself things, which is really hard to do if you don't really quite understand what the fuck is going on in the turn. Because if you're... Oh, bummer. Velocity there, which is not what you want. I had to basically not kept the car balanced, but I slowed it down. It was a braking without braking. thing is, driving sims are definitely a different category than regular video games, I think. So like, for example, I enjoy playing stuff like Destiny. And let's see, what else do I enjoy? Right now I'm enjoying Diablo 4, which is pretty cool. What else do I enjoy? Nick and I play Deep Rock Miners, or Deep Space Miners, or something like that anyway, for Carl! And then also a cool space indie game that he has. Anyway, long story short, I enjoy those games a lot, but they're ultimately unfulfilling, right? You don't really learn anything other than how to play the video game, which is a lot of fun. And to be fair to modern video games, is remarkably nuanced. Like, the high-level build stuff that goes on in games like Diablo is pretty nuts. You know, you get theory crafters that figure out these unbelievable combinations of artifacts, skills, and, you know, special abilities that just combined do something super powerful or super interesting. Diablo is full of that kind of stuff, theory crafting and coming up with these ultimate builds. In fact, it's so much a part of the game that the game has what are known as seasons, where every season you start a brand new character and race it to the top. And every season, I think Blizzard, you know, kind of opens the door a little on some abilities, and it's up to the theory crafters at the beginning of the season to figure it out and come up with great builds. So it's very much a part of the game. So it's fulfilling in that respect, right? If you're a smart person that's really into video games and you're really into messing around and crunching data and doing those kinds of things, yeah, it's fun, but it's ultimately not particularly fulfilling unless I could imagine, let's say you're really good at that and you're a successful YouTuber or whatever. You know, I mean, I could see that as being fulfilling, or the process of doing all that teaches you something like that you wouldn't otherwise learn. Oh, I've become really good at writing complex databases. You know, just accidentally, because I've been doing X, Y, and Z and related to this. Who knows? But I guess what I want to say is driving sims feel different. Like, KartKraft is a little bit unique because it's not a game. There is nothing game about this. It's supposed to be a game, but it's a sim. I mean, it's supposed to be a sim that's also a game, but right now it's just a sim. Meaning that there really is nothing to do here other than drive the cart. There's no currency, there's no points, there's no levels, there's no objectives, there's just a cart, a track, and a leaderboard. And that's it. So the only game that they have here is what you're watching right now, which is me going around the track trying to beat Kazi up in front of me and take world position number 2. Or, even better, number 1, away from the formidable TJ, I guess it's going to use? TZ. But it's not a game. It's work. It's very pleasant work. But I'm doing this because A, I enjoy doing it, but more importantly because I actually race go-karts. And while KartKraft is far from perfect, it's close enough that this is actually useful to my real driving. I have a fair amount of time and money invested into the rig, so I get a little bit more info than most of you out of my rig. Get more kart feel, most likely. So I think it really depends. Like, I know a fellow who's an extremely accomplished former professional karter who's a very good coach, just all around, you know, super duper good racer that I trust, you know, his opinion just hands down. Anyway, I've also got coaching. I also get coaching from him off and on basis. But in any case, he hates this game. It's not that he hates it, but he cannot get, the game doesn't feel to him like his experience karting, and it has to do with the behavior of the kart, sort of mid-corner and stuff. Like, it's just not what he likes. And I think part of that, so we've been sort of going back and forth on this because a bunch of us, have tried KartKraft or play KartKraft, and there are some people that are just like, no, this just isn't working for me. There seems to be a relationship between Logitech belt drive, the gear drive thing, and people having some difficulty. In that, one of my colleagues, friends, whatever, that also does quite a bit of sim racing and does some KartKrafts as well, pointed out that when he switched from the Logitech to a better wheel, basically, it was kind of night and day for him in terms of the game feels. And maybe that's what my coach was feeling, just on a bad wheel, which wasn't. It's not it's a bad wheel, it's just the game probably was not optimized well for it. Or something. I gotta say, I've got the 8 Newton meter little DD from Fanatec, and I gotta say, this is excellent wheel. So much better than my previous belt drives. It makes me very much want to get a big DD, and not for the reasons you think. What you notice with these things is nuance. They transmit to you far more information than the other ones, than the belt drives, simply because it's just like this perfect direct connection. So you're feeling like through the wheel road texture and things that you just can't feel in a club sport belt drive. And my understanding is, so my alien buddy Tongi had the 30 Newton meter one or whatever it was, and the difference is not what you think it is. Having more power doesn't make it, well, it does make it firmer, but that's not what you're doing it. You're not going to run a 30 Newton meter wheel at, full strength, because that would be stupid. You're going to run it at what feels right. But here's the thing, it's got massive amounts of overhead. So think of like audio signals and stereos and the amount of effort that goes into that. And that's kind of more analogous to DDs. DDs are like expensive speakers and expensive amps. You've got a whole lot of dynamic range and all of the power on demand to produce that broad dynamic range. So a 30 Newton meter DD will have substantially more nuance than an 8 millimeter DD, for example. That's why I'd like to ultimately get a big DD. Because once you try the small DDs, you're like, yeah, this is obviously what you need. There's another area I'd like to, in the not too distant future, address is pedals. I went from V2s to, I traded someone one of my spare headsets for his set of V3s, and I like the pedals in many ways, but they're just not suited to kind of the way the setup is working. Particularly, they have a very strange throw on the accelerator, which is kind of long. And I've shortened it to the shortest it can possibly be, and it's still a little longer than I'd like. So, otherwise they're fine pedals. I like the brake, but I'd like to move on to something like Weissenfeld's or something similar, something a little bit more fun. Of course, like everyone else, I would love to someday try the SimiCube active pedals. They seem amazing. I have 2 very large bass shakers hanging off of my pedal plate. So I have 2 300, basically 2 Clark TST Platinums on the pedal plate. So that is my SimiCube kind of approach, which is I have something giving me very nuanced, very nice sort of detail up there, but it's not as good as we would want. Like, we need more. And I don't know if that's a function of... But anyway, I get to feel stuff. I feel the wheels moving around. I feel all that kind of stuff because of those sorts of things, which is a little different than just with the steering wheel. And then finally, I want to get hydraulic actuators. So that's going to run about $2,500, $3,000. There's some Chinese companies that sell you complete kits with amps, controllers, and software. It's an interesting space because there's kind of like an there's some controversy because I think the best controller for it was made by some guy who then lost control of it, and it got weird when other companies started selling the product using his shit. So I don't know exactly what the deal is, but not my freaking problem. There are some other products that are available as well, but it seems like at around 5, it's really more like 4,500, 6,500 if you're looking at the American-made shit. There's a European company that has an interesting one that I think is kind of overpriced, but very well done, very simple, very plug and play. But unfortunately, with pandemic and inflation, it went from being something that was like, oh, $3,000, sure, I could do that, to like, now we want 4,600. No, it's not worth it. Thanks. There's a company in California that makes a better one, but that one starts getting serious money at around 6 or 7. And then there's the DOF. Not the guys that make the rig, but there's the actual company. There's a big company that makes high-end stuff, and they're very expensive, but yeah, they make very nice actuators as well, but then I think you're up into the $10,000 or $15,000 range. So actuators are kind of funny, right, because go-karts do not have suspension, so therefore, why do you want actuators? Well, I think there's enough body movement, enough going on that the actuators would be meaningful, and it looks like CXC Simulations did a serious KartKraft simulator with hydraulics and hydraulic actuators, and I've seen videos of it in action, and yeah, there's enough there. There's plenty of kart movement that's captured that the actuators would produce. So it'd be really nice. That's for a fairly straightforward, by the way, actuator system. That'll give me pitch, tilt, yaw, but it won't, what it won't do is the back end is going to be just where it is. The back end is stuck. We don't have any ability to reproduce with the back shifting. However, what's interesting is with shakers, I do get the sensation of the back shifting from time to time, even though the rig isn't moving. Psychologically, somehow the vibrations that are going through the rig and through the steering wheel kind of convince you that the back is turning. Like, you literally feel the back move, like it goes limp. I'm not being very focused here. forwards and just letting right down just for fun. And unsurprisingly, the driving goes to hell in a handbasket. Nuts about these pedals. You have to, like, when I go flat on the gas, it's such a long throw. Occasionally I get a Charlie horse in the Achilles. I'm odd. I like short throw on brake, short throw on throttle. My buddy Tongi would put brakes at 80, let's say, which means that you have to push the brake hard to get to lock up, whereas I'll do it at around 50 or 60. I don't like to. I'd rather modulate on a knife's edge than on a big axis. Then again, Tongi's a much better driver than I am, so you should probably do what he does. Yeah, it did. Should have pushed it pretty sweet right now. I improved my optimal by 1/1000%. Went from 17.799 to 798. It was probably that, last 799 or 978 or whatever the hell it was, that's true. Oh, 168, that's good. to go around the apexes. Or actually, you know what? Maybe it's stupid to do that. Yeah, maybe I have to go from the middle of the straights. Yeah. Alright, so I have to go from the middle of the straights, which means I'm going to have to change up my braking. But otherwise, do it normally. Right? Oh, yes, it's straight. Let's get it straight. Right. I'm not allowed to use it. Make your own way. Oh, sorry. Let's do this one from the middle. Not effective at all. Definitely do not want to be in the middle. Brake 19 with the inside middle. Bye.